Hi, good evening, all my friends, all my colleagues. I hope and I wish that all of you are doing very good, happy, healthy at home, uh, away from this virus, which has actually taken which has actually given a lot of pain to everyone and anyone globally. Though there is a new hashtag being used for this, COVID idiot 19. Well, today I'm going to speak on, in continuation of my last video, which was on unemployment, particularly and in specific to India. Uh, this is the continuation of same. Uh, what what is actually uh, paining me, and which everyone and anyone on the social media is speaking about, the pain of the unemployment, and specifically the pain of the labor class, which is actually on the roads and where there is nothing available for them. Uh, the labor class who actually have run out of the work and have lost their only means to obtain even a square meal for themselves and their families. There is no savings and for them, which because they, as usually they are called the daily wages, and the rising cost of the daily essentials has put it a more burden on them. Uh, just keeping in view the graph of India's population, which has reached to 1.4 million in March 20, and what the study and the data says, the unemployment rate of India has remained the same at 2.6%, uh, comparing December 2019. Out of this population of India, 28% of India's population is belonging to the middle class. Well, the world biggest lockdown to continue the coronavirus pandemic has stalled work under the rural jobs and other daily waging schemes which the government is providing or is trying to provide, which is yet to know what kind of a scheme they're going to give them to the daily wages to sustain to their livelihood. Government actually should give employment and think about the employments in specific to the labor class, because the section of labor class is huge uh, in Indian population. Government should give. These are my thoughts. These are really my thoughts, and which I have really penned down, and I'm speaking with you people on a public platform, with no intention to, again, with no intention to any political party or any political leader. These are the views uh, which somewhere and somehow may get cascaded to the government, and certain actions can be taken accordingly. Uh, in my view, the government should give unemployment benefits to the people of the organized workers who may lose their jobs due to this pandemic. Majority of Indians are struggling to make their both ends meet. Yes, of course, and this may give uh, a broader idea, as I said in the last video, in quarter two and quarter three, which is coming up, how kind of effect this pandemic is going to affect, be it a employment, corporate sector, or be it a labor class, or be it a business, be it a small business, anyone and everyone. Uh, this includes the marginalized communities in the unorganized sector, such as daily wagers, the vendor, the street vendor, the construction workers, and the laborers who are terribly affected by the economic slowdown and the social repercussions of the coronavirus. They have not only run out of the work, but also have lost their only means to obtain even a square meal for themselves and to their families, uh, which I have personally noticed. Uh, while visiting to certain areas. No savings, rising cost is the basic uh, setback for them. Apart from this, they're also in a most vulnerable to these diseases because of inability to access the hygiene products. They are not so accessible to the hygiene products which we people are blessed with. So that is again one of the cause of the virus to get spreaded across and you know affect this labor class in specific. Well, as I said in the last video, the effect of unemployment happened post 2016 when the demonetization happened and the GST was rolled out. Uh, Government hasn't taken any specific steps or given any understanding to fellow Indians what are the major steps they're going to take in terms of all these sectors are concerned, all these professionals or all these labor class people are concerned. The graph is showing something very, very, very decline. What I may read out to you in February 20, the Indian government had drastically cut it down the rates in the first 3 quarters uh, of for the year 2019 from 8% to 7.1%. So these are something which the finance minister has to seriously look upon and take care of us as a fellow Indians, uh, how to survive. Uh, one of my colleague on LinkedIn just at I think in the evening she has posted, uh, you know, she has given the bifurcation of the geographical sectors. So everyone and anyone is trying her or his best to share their views about the pandemic, about the employment and how to change the ideas, how to re-evaluate yourself to get confined not only to your certain kind of a qualifications where you belong to or you were coming from, but you may somewhere have to give a flexibility in your own self to change, to change according to the environment which is going to happen after certain weeks or months. Uh, that's uh, a very important issue, not in India, but of course as a globally. There are certain things, there are certain ideas which uh, everyone, with due regards to anyone and everyone, keeps on doing according to their own capacities and capabilities by feeding to these required daily wages in terms of essential, the food, everything and anything. But here in specific, I'm going to share a practical example, a real example of my very close friend, my very close colleague who stays in the area called Gurugram, which is close to International Airport, and where he stays, just a mile and a 2 mile away, there is a slum area. So what he used to do almost since the lockdown has happened, this is the example which I'm sharing with you. Maybe uh, this may give you some kind of a idea that okay, we should also try and replicate this as what the non-profit organizations, whom we call them NGOs, do. So what he does is he prepares the 5 meals daily, as he is a free living soul. He lives alone in his apartment. So he prepares the 5 meals daily for the slum people and serves them in the periphery. Uh, with this, what all he does is, uh, for the people in that same slum area who are handicapped, who are bedridden from certain diseases, uh, He used to shell out 1,000 rupees uh, to each and every family uh, for their daily livelihoods. Uh, that's what one thing which he is doing as a philanthropist or as a human, which everyone needs to do, whosoever has a capacity of doing this. I'm not saying that everyone should do, but whosoever has a capacity of doing this, because these are the people who are dependent on us. Uh, and in somewhere down the line, we as a people are also dependent on them, as a corporate professional or as a business or as entrepreneurs. We are dependent on the labor class, which carries a huge number of population, in specific to Indian census is concerned. Uh, that's what the motivation which came to me today after hearing from him, and his practices, what he's doing, and I thought to share it across a video to with you all, with a certain kind of a thoughts which I have edited from my own self in continuation of my previous video. Uh, I would like to end my note by saying, you know, though yes, one more thing which is coming in my mind. Today, he was sharing with me that while walking on the same periphery in the slum area, there were the vendors, there were the vendors who used to have their stalls of Indian bread and the burgers and sandwiches which they used to serve. So now they don't have anything to put their stall on because no one can visit them. So what he suggested them as a motivational program, the first thing what he suggested was to make a social distancing with each other, and second, he gave him the idea of changing their, you know, their livelihood in terms of making a tea. So tea is such a thing which every passerby can take, and keeping a certain amount for the cup of a tea can serve them for their daily needs. So this was a very wonderful. I'm just giving a very shorter version to you people. So that was very wonderful thought which he shared with these people, and when they replicated it today. So one of the vendors came to him and said him that today was the earning of 150 rupees in Indian currency to him, and which he was not making any money from last almost since the lockdown was over. So maybe it is a very small amount for him for 150 rupees, but still he was able to make it from selling the tea. So these are the certain ideas which we as a human, as a everyone is a philanthropist in his or own way. We used to share these thoughts with certain kind of a people who lack in this kind of information, in kind of hygiene, in kind of social distancing. It is our responsibility to give them the ray of direction, to give them the ray of hope that this is what you can do, and we are there to help you. Uh, of course, we as a humans are there to help them as much as we can, but it is the government to look upon it very seriously, because this pandemic is something which is not giving any clear results to anyone and anyone, that till when it is gonna hold, or when this idiot is going back. Anyhow, so ending my note by quoting Fred Rogers, who nicely said way back, the real strength has to do by helping others. So that is the real strength uh, which God has given us to help others in any way, by feeding them, by giving them the certain kind of motivational thoughts, certain kind of uh, directions which they require. In this situation, I'm talking about the pandemic situation. I'm talking about which they require. So, as it is said that what goes around comes around, And I sincerely is my belief, uh, what you give, you get. So that was my small submission for the day today, and hopefully, uh, I would like to hear your views, uh, wherein uh, you want me to improve, you want me to say something else, you want me to use some any other topic. Though I usually speak on certain kind of another thoughts which are defining to the motivational programs. But this situation which wherein we are locked down and wherein the 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 environment is such, the cause is such, wherein everyone and anyone is bound to or is making himself or herself to speak more and more about, sharing more and more about the knowledge of, be it unemployment, be it the safety issues, be it the hygiene issues, be it following the guidelines of the government, uh, so on and so forth. So hopefully this will be over. Nothing is permanent. So that's all I can say. Wishing you a very happy evening, and stay well, stay safe, stay at home, stay connected, stay tuned. And it was my way, my say. Goodbye.